Hey everyone, welcome to the Crisis Cast. As I am paler than a ghost, thanks to my fantastic high budget lighting. And welcome to episode 5. And this is the show where we talk about all multiversal crossovers, Justice Society, Justice League team ups, and eventually continuity reboots. And this is Crisis on Earth A. And I haven't read basically any Silver Age Justice League before this, and so this is not at all like I had the general idea of what the story would involve, but this is not at all the story I was expecting. The story is
Not
pretty
at all.
ridiculous. So we were reading JLA 37 and 38, and I'll jump right into 37. And the cover's funny. It has a bunch of JSA members fighting the Thunderbolt from Johnny Thunder, and there's like a tag on it that says, "What? Not a single member of the Justice League on this cover." Which is funny. And so the premise here is that the Justice League is missing from Earth One, or at least that's going to be the premise. And so we get our JSA roll call. We have the Atom back. We have Dr. Fate, Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, and Mr. Terrific. And this is the first time we're seeing him, I believe, in this series. We may have seen him like very, very briefly in one of the.
I don't recall. Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen him. I don't recall him even being in the background of stuff. Though this isn't the first time we've seen Johnny Thunder, though.
Yeah.
Johnny Thunder has been in the background.
Mm-hmm. And I'll note that Mr. Terrific, obviously he was a Golden Age superhero and everything. He had his own solo feature in one of the anthologies. He technically was a member of the JSA, but he only appeared in 2 issues of All-Star Comics. So really, as we go along and see him in more and more of these crossovers, they're kind of like making his relevance to the JSA more important than it was in the original stories. Which,
interesting to note, no women in the lineup of this issue.
Yeah, not this issue. No Black Canary, no Wonder Woman. And I like Mr. Terrific. Obviously, his successor gets way, way, way more character development and relevance years and years and years later. But his like whole fair play gimmick and the giant crest on his outfit, which is basically just like this weird coat with an emblem on it. I think it's like both terrible and awesome.
I dig the costume. I liked Mr. Terrific in this. I thought he was pretty cool.
Yeah. So we open with Johnny Thunder being annoyed that he's finally being called for the JSA reunion because I guess they just passed him over for a while. And it's funny because it's a little bit meta or not really, but I'm just sharing this information. Johnny Thunder was nudged out of the JSA and even his own solo stories by Black Canary, who originally just appeared as like a supporting character in his stories.
Wow.
And Johnny Thunder, he's just kind of a weird, derpy klutz. He's kind of abusive and manipulative with the Thunderbolt, who is like the entirety of his powers. And so the Thunderbolt is a genie. Think Aladdin, and he can tell him it's not like he gets X number of wishes. He can just tell him whatever the hell he wants him to do. The genie has near infinite abilities and has to do exactly what he says.
But he can't kill.
Yeah, he can't kill. And also, it's funny, the Thunderbolt, and eventually it makes sense later because he doesn't want to do any of this, and he really doesn't want to do anything. But the way his face is drawn, it kind of looks like he's sad or just despondent all the time.
Yeah.
The Thunderbolt is like, God damn it. Well, I have to follow orders. He's like basically a slave. And so since he hates being Johnny Thunder's slave so much, he wonders aloud whether the Earth One Johnny Thunder is as much of a dick. And Johnny Thunder's like, And I guess he's just like curious, so he wants to go explore that. So he's like, take me to Earth One. And it turns out the Earth One Johnny Thunder is an even worse dick. He also has bad grammar, and he's just like a generic goon. And so he knocks out Johnny Thunder, the Earth 2 version, and takes control over the Thunderbolt. And it's weird because it's implied like he has the exact same origin as Johnny Thunder, where he was like raised on this island by monks, but he just never got the Thunderbolt. So he just has this like weird, mystical, like far off land, Doctor Strange style backstory, but he just moved back into the city and became like a generic goon. And so he takes control of the Thunderbolt to start doing crimes and rob some cash.
So that's one of my biggest questions. Like, how can he just get control of the Thunderbolt?
I don't know. I mean, like they say, like everything on Earth 1 and Earth 2, they're always the same. So I guess it's just like he is technically a Johnny Thunder,
Yeah.
so you have to follow him, and the other one's knocked out. It's kind of weird. They don't explain that much. And then Barry Allen Flash catches him, and he recognizes the Thunderbolt because Johnny Thunder was in Flash Comics, the same anthology as Jay Garrick, Barry Allen's like mentor slash inspiration slash friend. But Thunderbolt gets away, and then to stop Barry Allen and others from preventing Johnny Thunder's crimes, he sends the Thunderbolt through space and time to stop all the JLA origin stories, including like filling Krypton full of lead so it doesn't explode and all kinds of other weird things.
The best one, once again, with the unintentional hilarity, is Batman.
Yeah,
Because the Thunderbolt doesn't he doesn't prevent the Waynes from getting murdered. He just appears like it is kind of cool because we get to see Batman in his Detective 27 appearance. The Thunderbolt just punches him and makes him look like an idiot. And like when he's stopping the two goons on the roof on like the cover of Detective 27 and the case of the Chemical Syndicate, which they even put an editor's note on, which was neat. But like, and he's just like, oh, I guess I'll just go back to being a playboy. So his parents are still murdered. Everyone else gets happy lives, but he just doesn't become Batman.
yeah, that one's funny, and it's weird that it's the only one that gets the footnote. None of
Yeah.
the others do.
And I
And
was thinking, like, are we gonna see like when they run to back, like, because obviously what happens later, like, I was gonna say, like, is the JSA gonna find Bruce Wayne and like they're gonna have to like tell him to be Batman because that's the only member of the Justice League that still exists? So I was like, are we gonna come back to this? But no, we didn't.
and so several of them, including Batman, they get like a full page or like half a page, a few panels, maybe even one panel. But then Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and Hawkman, they just get jumbled into like a montage one panel. And back to the present with all the Justice League gone, now suddenly Earth 1 is not Earth 1, it's Earth A because it's an alternate Earth with an alternate history. And this is where like I thought that we were going to Earth A, like some stupid fourth version at this point.
Noted that the Earth A name is given by the Earth One Johnny Thunder.
Yeah, yeah. And so he got rid of the Justice League, obviously, so they couldn't stop his shit. And he says, sort of, he's like, now I'm in a world without heroes. I can do whatever the hell I want. Well, that's not really true. If we want to get technical, on Earth 1, these characters should still exist. We have the Doom Patrol, Metamorpho, Adam Strange, Rip Hunter, Captain Comet, Phantom Stranger, Elongated Man, Zatanna, the Metal Men, Congo Bill and Congorilla, Challengers of the Unknown, and the Sea Devils. Those are all the major heroes on Earth 1 at this point in time in 1965 that I could think of. And so I feel like Metamorpho and Zatanna could fuck this guy up.
It, I want to say I do want to ask who's the artist on this issue because when we cut to this lineup shot of the JSA, it looks really really good.
Yeah, I mean it's just Sikowski. I mean, unless we really know otherwise, he's basically on Justice League almost forever. But you mean like the one shot, especially like Jay Garrick looks really good. And the JSA at this point they're a little concerned that Johnny Thunder hasn't shown up to the meeting yet. So Dr. Fate whips out his crystal ball and they find him. They get caught up on all the exposition, and they enter Earth 1. They beat up Johnny Thunder's goons, and the Thunderbolt keeps beating them back. And this is where we start getting the Thunderbolt. He's like, I don't want to do any of this, but I have to. So he just starts getting very like literal and sarcastic. So he's like Johnny Thunder, you have to tell me exactly what you need me to do. And then the JSA, I don't even fully understand this. Their plan is to impersonate the missing Justice League, which I guess they think is going to like shock Johnny Thunder into explaining what he did. So
Yeah, it's very odd. I guess.
and
Yeah, it's weird.
so the equivalence matchup, obviously, the Flash impersonates the Flash, but then we have Mr. Terrific as Batman, which makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Doctor Fate as Superman, which it's he can do whatever, he's magic. But then
Yeah,
Hawkman is Martian Manhunter with a green skin change.
yeah, he just paints his skin green.
Yeah, but it's not even clear because it's implied that basically just Alan Scott and Doctor Fate just use their magic and the power ring to just transform everyone.
That's directly with the Atom to make Al Pratt look small.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, yeah, Alan Scott's just using his ring to make him look small.
and then there's a fight on a ship, and then Johnny Thunder's next genius plan is to substitute a bunch of goons into the JLA's origins.
Yeah,
Half of these don't make any sense whatsoever because how do you grab a random like goon off the street in on Earth and then give him Superman's powers or
I
Martian
don't know.
Manhunter's powers? And like somehow this goon is turned into a Martian.
Yeah, I like how all their heads are like drawn differently from the Justice League. It reminds me of like you probably didn't because you didn't watch TV as a child, but did you ever watch Powerpuff Girls?
Not really.
Okay, are you familiar with like the guy, like the goons that dress up like the Powerpuff Girls?
No.
Okay, they look like that.
Okay. But yeah, they have like their goon head shapes and faces. It's pretty funny. Like the Superman guy is blonde. And then the issue ends with Johnny Thunder just in the middle, and he's like, "Let the battle begin." And so I'll turn it over to Mike for JLA 38.
Yeah, and in JLA 38, it's which once again for me the art looks a lot cleaner here. I like it almost looks like Mike Parabeck art.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's obviously not. But so we have a huge fight between the Justice Society and what would we call them? The Imposter Justice League
Yeah.
or the Goon League. And they're all the Goon League is pretty much all easily defeated because they don't know how to use their superpowers at all. So it's like the standard thing of like, oh yeah, Johnny Thunder, you gave all these people superpowers, but they don't know how to use them at all, and they're fighting like veteran superheroes who just easily displace them because they know all their weaknesses.
But I don't fully
And
understand that because uh, the Thunderbolt went back in time and put them at the origin points of these superheroes. So the Goon Flash has had the Goon Flash's powers for the same amount of time that Barry Allen has. I mean, you don't expect that he's been fighting criminals with it every day, but they've had their powers for a while.
well, I'll counter that with if they've only been fighting if there was no villains for them to stop and they would be committing crimes with these powers, there would have been no one to like figure out their weaknesses or stuff. So I could assume that way too. But because like everything was so easy for them, they've never been challenged. Do that too. I particularly liked the way Hawkman dispatched the goon Martian Manhunter, where he gets his wings ripped off because like they're all figuring out their weaknesses, and he uses his ninth metal from his belt and then also on his boots to scrape down a brick building and create a flash of fire to throw at the imposter Martian Manhunter. I thought that was pretty funny.
Which, again, how is he a Martian?
I don't know.
I mean, humans aren't good with fire either, but it shouldn't be some
Well,
insane.
that's always been my problem with Martian Manhunter's weakness of fire. Everyone's weakness is fire.
Yeah,
It's fire. um, I do like. Did you catch the little pencil mustache on the Goon Flash?
yeah, yeah.
It's pretty funny. But so they're easily defeated, and then somehow Johnny Thunder is like, "Yo, Thunderbolt, you're just like you're not doing anything right. So why don't so he unleashes the full power of the Thunderbolt, which apparently creates like every Earth disaster imaginable, and the JSA gets caught in it. So they got to like use their powers to get out of this cloud, and Mr. Terrific is able to jump out of because they're in this bubble of like gas or something, and he grabs onto a cliff, and everyone like grabs on with him, and then Jay Garrick, as like they're all standing on each other's shoulders, he just whirls his arms, and they somehow get sucked to the moon for a showdown on the moon.
Yeah.
Because which is my favorite panel in the whole book, is that somehow Earth One Johnny Thunder has gone to the moon in a spacesuit, and he writes on the moon, "Say you put air on the moon."
I liked how he like last minute he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I need a spacesuit so I don't suffocate on the moon. Johnny Thunder and the Thunderbolt's like, damn, I almost got him.
And then I don't fully know what happened here, but somehow the Thunderbolt creates three giant beings
Yep.
that all have horribly stupid powers. What is a so he creates Medusa Man, Absorbo Man, and Repello Man, and they're all pretty easily defeated by the Justice Society. Medusa Man, who turns people into wood, is dispatched by Doctor Fate just blasting a gold mask on him, and I was a little confused by how they beat the other ones. Like Alan Scott puts chains and just kind of beats up on the other one, and then basically just Doctor Fate just uses magic to beat all of them.
Well, yeah. Well, they don't beat them. They like I mean, they kind of temporarily fix it, but then everyone gets beat except for Doctor Fate.
Yeah.
And so Doctor Fate's the last one, and he uses like reverse magic to beat Repello Man, which is hilarious.
The entire point of Doctor Fate is that he's just a Deus Ex Machina and he can do anything.
Well, I was gonna say, can you tell yet that Doctor Fate is Gardner Fox's favorite character?
Uh,
At least,
no, he hasn't shown up a lot. Like
well,
this is a pretty big spotlight for him.
yeah, but he usually has like the really big feats. I mean, which sort of makes sense based on his powers, but still.
I mean, he has that even going into like like off the show. I've been working my way through like the JLI omnibus, and he's just like super powerful in Justice League International too.
Yep.
And like I think like it kind of, if you just need any type of like explanation for how something works, just throw Doctor Fate in there, just because no one knows how his powers work anyway. But somehow they reset the world, and we get sucked right into the beginning of. So like Johnny Thunder makes it to his meeting with the JSA, and the Justice League just go back to their meeting, and nothing happened.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like so Earth One Johnny Thunder, he just gets fed up. He's like, this is too much stress or whatever. So he's like, all right, I wish none of this ever happened. And so technically, this gets retconned, and this entire story never happened.
But we, the reader, know what happened.
Yeah. And so also technically, Mr. Terrific has never been to Earth One. So you could possibly not even count this appearance. But we'll make note of him when he officially comes to Earth One next time.
Technically, at the end of this, I guess Earth A doesn't even really exist.
Yeah, well, it gets reversed back to Earth One. That's why I was almost expecting, like, because the way this, I mean, at a certain point when they kind of nailed the rules down, the way this would have worked in Marvel is Johnny Thunder does that and splinters off and creates Earth A, but Earth One would still exist.
Yeah, which is normally how I would think how things work now, but no, it just reverses back to normal.
But what did you think of this arc overall? And what do you think of Thunder?
What did I think of what, the Thunderbolt?
Yeah, and Johnny Thunder, just like the whole character and concept.
They're weird but fun. Like they're characters that have long-standing histories, but like I don't feel like anyone our age really has had much access to see anything with them. Like I remember I know there's Jakeem Thunder, but like I've never read Robinson's JLA. I'm sorry, JSA, which I think that's where he shows up, right? Like, I mean, this is actually the first like actual Johnny Thunder thing I wrote. He was always just a guy in the background who shot out a pink electric bolt thing. I didn't even know it was a genie. I always thought it was like I always thought it was like kind of like Negative Man, where he would just like his body's just kind of comatose while he goes off and does other things in like the pink lightning bolt form.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to actually finally see what he's all about, instead of just shouting off of rooftops how he remembers who the JSA is in current Rebirth continuity.
Yeah, Johnny Thunder is one of those characters where like they never like fully figured out how to make him cool, which is fine because now he's just this like klutz and he's hilarious. And he's like upstaged by Black Canary, and then eventually Jakeem is like way more useful and effective. Hey, we got a guest appearance.
A cameo appearance at the end of the show.
Yep. This way I can still say I've been on every episode thus far.
That's great.
Amazing timing, because if you would have waited like 3 more minutes, it would have been done.
Dan, you want to tell us just real quick what you thought of these issues and Johnny Thunder particularly?
Evil Johnny Thunder just seemed kind of like a mook. Regular Johnny Thunder didn't really do much, but he seemed fine. The way that Batman didn't become Batman was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like, nah, definitely don't make it so his parents stay alive. Just like crush his will that, at least in this modern age, he would keep. Like, even if he got punched really hard the first time he went out. But it was kind of cool to see the sort of Golden Age Batman costume.
Yep.
Also, which one was your favorite of the Goon Justice League?
You know, Flash with evil mustache was pretty great.
That was our favorite as well.
All right, so everyone, thanks for watching Crisis on Earth A. Next episode is going to be Crisis Between Earths 1 and 2. And again, I'm not entirely certain what that means, but I know Solomon Grundy is involved. So
yes, their greatest foe.
I believe this is where Solomon Grundy, maybe, I might be wrong, I think he permanently moves between Earths because he was, of course, originally a Green Lantern villain on Earth 2. And then eventually he gets kind of closely connected to both Batman and a little bit of Superman and stuff like that. And so thanks for watching. Catch us next time, and bye-bye.
Yep.